before this rally they let him out. So why don't we hear from the Aussie Cossack? Who they put in prison because he mentioned the name of an alleged pedophile. He mentioned the name of an alleged pedophile and they locked him up. But here he is, the Aussie Cossack.
Well, that just confirmed any rumours in the mainstream media that this is a pro-Russian rally. I can just imagine tomorrow's Daily Mail article. Russian radical protesters converge on Channel 7. They're Putin's here as well. Well, it's funny, it's true. I was arrested at the last rally exactly 4 months ago. And many of you were here, many familiar faces were in the crowd, just around the corner. Arrested for something many in Australia would consider a public service. Now, it's a beautiful country, Australia. It's a lucky country. And many of us have different heritage, different countries from all the lands we come. We're all Australians, we love this country. And this country has a lot of beautiful flora and fauna, many interesting native species, protected species, platypus, koalas. But there's one species in this country which is the most protected of them all. Now that species is so protected that we can't even name them. You know, when I was in jail, we were watching Harry Potter every Sunday night, you know. There was nothing on TV. They're sitting there in the cell at Long Bay, looking forward to watching Harry Potter. And you know, you see everyone saying, "Don't say his name, you know who." There's this one Harry Potter, he blurts out his name. Remember, don't say his name. We can't name the you-know-who's, can we? Ah, Voldemort, that's his name. Well, look, I want to say, firstly, a massive thank you to my wife, Mrs. Cossack. She's very shy, but she held the fort. It's an example of grace in the face of tyranny. And she's very shy, she put her hand up there, she won't get on stage. She's been holding the fort. It was very difficult. For naming a protected species, they labelled me as a national security interest inmate and designated as an extreme high-risk inmate. Thrown into segregation, into isolation. I was in the cells with the Alameddines, the Hamzis, terrorists, murderers, and by the way, they're great guys. I was talking to one bloke for a whole week, and you know, in jail everyone calls me Russia. They're Russia, he's talking through the wall. We can't see each other. We're segregated. And after a week he goes, "Oi Russia, how come you sound like that guy, Aussie Cossack?" I said to him, "It's me." There were protesters. Many of you here, protesters, came to Silverwater Jail, protesting outside the jail. Thank you, guys. A massive thank you to one I consider future Australian Prime Minister, one man, Ricardo Bosi, who came there to the courthouse, standing with my wife, Mrs. Cossack, who was very vulnerable at that time. Many of you were protesting. As the prison truck came past, I could hear the protesters screaming outside, "You've kidnapped the Aussie Cossack, release him!" And so the prison authorities, they put these restrictions. I was no longer in a prison truck every time I was moved. I was moved in a bulletproof Land Cruiser with my arms chained in an orange jumpsuit like Guantanamo Bay, and my legs were chained. It was actually outrageous, right? And moved around the prisons. But you know what? In the prisons, there are a lot of blokes in there who suffered because of the mandates, because of the restrictions, because of the failures of government policy. And I want to give a special shout out to all the Indigenous brothers in there. Special shout out. It's a travesty. The prison population something like 35% Indigenous, where they make up 2% plus the population in Australia. And that falls back on the government. I don't believe a word of Albanese when on his pre-election campaign he talks about Uluru statement and so forth. Where was he 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago? In my opinion, and I've got the backing of the brothers on this, it's all for show. If he cared about the people, they would work with them. A bloke got released and they said to him, we're releasing you from prison and you're required to, for the first 3 days, we're giving you a motel in Mount Druitt. I said, well, that's like a beginning of a new fact sheet. What could possibly go wrong? You release the bloke, he's done 3 years and you say, here's a motel in Mount Druitt. And this is the kind of thing, it's a revolving door in there. And King Charles III, well, it was always customary in Britain, it was always customary in many other countries, and the Russian Empire also, when a new king takes over, pardon. Now you can see King Charles isn't very popular, neither is Camilla. We all love Diana. God bless her soul. But King Charles, if you want to do something good, order a pardon. There are blokes in there driving this, there are blokes in there for things like naming protected species, for goodness sake, as we all know. So let's hear a cheer. Encourage King Charles. Start off your new rule with a pardon for the boys in jail. Because you know what? The real criminals aren't in the prisons. The real criminals are sitting in Parliament House. These are the prisoners that are guilty of crimes of genocide, guilty of crimes of murder, guilty of crimes of protecting species who did despicable things, locking up mums and dads, locking up people because they were walking outside their 5-kilometre zone, locking up people for attending a family barbecue. Shame! I want to say a massive thank you. I did get 10 months. I pled guilty, copped it on the chin. I did do it. You all saw it. You were here. I did it. What can I say? This is the kind of offence that carries a maximum of 12 months. Who was it? They gave me 10. And it was only thanks to the pressure, I believe, that was applied from all of you standing here today. Certain colleagues of mine, you could say. All of you, brothers and sisters, everyone here. We had so much support, people like Mac, people like Craig Kelly, who's here today. Many people put their necks on the line, they stood up. Well, something could potentially, technically, it's a crime. You can't do anything to a protected species. You can't step on a spider, for example, it's protected. You can't run over a koala who's crossing the road. What was that? I can't hear it, say it again. Alright, I'm going deaf in this here. Say it again. I don't know. This could be the beginning of a new fact sheet, actually. See, the thing is, we've got police sitting right now in the headquarters in Goulburn and Surrey Hills in police tactical command buses. And they admitted this. I've read this in my own briefs. We're sitting in a tactical command bus on a big screen watching Aussie Cossack videos live, and they admitted to targeting the freedom movement, targeting you guys. We all saw the low-flying helicopter buzzing the crowd, when there are women and children in this crowd.
Aussie Cossack, did you know that the High Court judge that states the Australian government has no basis in law whatsoever, and it's on the record too. They are all criminals and they all need to serve justice for the crimes that they have committed against the people.
That's it, and Nuremberg 2 is coming up. And I'd like to say, John Marta said it well, that the people now who are enforcing tyranny, the people now that are ruining Australian values, taking away freedoms, there should be special prisons built for them. And then, not in protection, get in the main, in front of people's tribunals.
That's right.
In front of the people's tribunals, because everyday Australians are sick and tired of this. And this year, we've got an election in Victoria, and I promised our good colleagues in Melbourne, who are also today out in force marching for freedom, that Sydney will be, New South Wales, all of us will be backing Victoria in this election. We'll get behind them. They're in November, everybody. Well, we've got New South Wales coming up in March. Put your hands up, get involved. There are many people out here who should be running as candidates, who should be supporting other candidates. You know, somebody like Mac, why doesn't he run as a candidate? Somebody like Ricardo Bosie. We should be, all of these people, we should be supporting them all. I want to say a massive thank you. I won't carry on anymore, but I was humbled by the support whilst in prison. Received over 5,000 letters and postcards of support. And I met some parents who brought their kids today. Their kids who wrote postcards and drew pictures. Thank you, Aussie Cossack, for defending us. It was very humbling. Very much appreciated. How do they treat me in jail? Oh look, you know, obviously I'm in the business of naming people, and there's one screw I'd like to name. His name, geez, last time I did this, I ended up in jail for 10 years. Should we name him? No? Alright, we won't name him. But look, it's actually funny. I can say that there are a lot of prison guards who very quietly, very sneakily, were actually secretly supporting me. Now, they're like, well, we don't think you should be in jail. You know, this is a good thing. But the prisoners, mate, shout out to the prisoners. Every jail I got to, every yard I got to, I had the intel of the jail come and see me, and they said, you're a national security interest, you're extreme high risk, and we know that you're radicalising the other inmates. Radicalising with what? It's not like I'm a Russian spy or something. So, that's just, can I just say, that's just a Serbian flag upside down. Anyway, shout out to all the boys inside. Shout out to boys at Windsor, boys at Long Bay. You'll be surprised. There's a lot of good blokes in the main. Because the bad blokes get put into protection, into the boneyard, and that's where people like Hazard will go. That's where people like David Elliott, you grub. David Elliott, the failed police minister, the failed minister of correctives, who is now the failed transport minister. And there's traffic every day, the cars, chock-a-block, my wife can't get to it, it takes her 2 hours, because David Elliott has failed the transport. If David Elliott dares to run in the New South Wales election, I dare you. I'd love to see that happen, but I can guarantee David Elliott, you won't run, because you're gutless, because you're not going to win. You're going to lose. And you're arrogant and you don't want to lose. So David Elliott will resign, mark my words, he won't run. And if he does run, that's our revenge. That's when we go to the ballot box. Whoever goes against David Elliott, I couldn't care if he's, whatever party he's from, just get rid of that grub David Elliott. Remember the very first protest we had when we marched? And he said, it's a bunch of right-wing extremists, bullheads, grubs. How dare he call these mums and dads and these good, hard-working family people, these Australians, those slanderous terms. And thank you again to the good police and the cops for truth. It's an honour to stand on this stage after the firefighters and the paramedics and the cops for truth. These are the kind of police who should be taking over the police force. These are the kind of police who should be becoming the commissioners and the superintendents and restore some common sense and some sanity to the way this country was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago. It was absolutely normal values. Now our values in this country are going down the gurgler. You know, kids are going to school, they come home, they don't know whether they're a boy or a girl. You know, what is going on? Where's it going to stop? You know, Anzac Day marches are getting smaller and smaller. In fact, in the last few years, they tried to cancel them completely. We've got veterans in this crowd who've come back to service. I've met a few gentlemen served in Vietnam, served in conflict zones, and they're back to march. They've been called out of retirement to defend their fellow Australians. For the veterans. And speaking of veterans, I'll end with a very important note. No Australian bushmasters or missiles or any taxpayer money should be committed to an overseas war. Enough's enough. I mean, is there anyone here, honestly, who thinks, put your hand up, one person at least, that Australia, Scott Morrison, Albanese, should be sending hundreds of millions of dollars to fight against Russia? Should we be doing that? I can guarantee you, I've met Putin once, and he said, we're never going to attack Australia. We love Australians. There's a lot of Putin supporters here, but it's not about Putin, it's not about Ukraine. You know what it is? It's about Australia doesn't have a dog in this fight. We shouldn't have gone to Afghanistan. We shouldn't have gone to Iraq. We shouldn't have followed the Americans off every cliff, Korea and Vietnam. What did Australia ever gain from engaging in a foreign conflict? where the people in Lismore, the poor families in Lismore, are getting $1,000 each. Yet we can send $400 million to a corrupt Ukrainian government and throw missiles against Russia. Absolutely outrageous. Shame. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to finish. There's many honourable people to speak after me. I just want to say thank you. It's only 20 hours I've been out of jail. I literally got released yesterday. Thank you very much for all your support. It's been a win for the people. Thank you.